Yeah, got a great conversation. Since you guys didn't hear the intro, we got a great conversation about what, Josiah?
Finances and money. Who doesn't like talking about money?
It's kind of an evil word.
I don't think Josh likes talking about it. It seems like we've got some audio now. I'm hearing myself, so rad. Now y'all good on audio. Dewey, welcome out. I don't believe that we've seen you in here yet, so thank you for jumping in. Chris Harshbarger is back. That's your buddy from the podcast. I think he's from North Carolina.
No, he's
Chris,
from Troy. I believe he's in Troy, Ohio, and he's looking at opening a pressure washer.
T-Roy, Ohio.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for being back in here. But Josiah, yeah, we're talking about finances today.
That's right.
Josh's favorite conversation.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about it, but it's not as motivating for me as memories. You got to make money, right? Or you won't
eat food.
Right.
You need money, but memories trump money, in my opinion. I like making memories.
I mean, yes, but I think to make memories, you need a little
to make money.
Right? Just a little bit of money. Like,
unless you want your memories to be homeless.
Reggie
on
Bryce,
the streets.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Reggie Bryce, welcome out. Thank you so much for jumping in. Happy 4th to you guys as well. And so, yeah, I think let's jump on right in. Hey, what was your win from the weekend, Josiah? I think you had a pretty good weekend.
Yeah. What was my win?
Well, let me tell you my win. One thing I do is I have 6 kids. You were thinking.
What?
You were thinking.
Also, please drop y'all's win.
It's okay. I'm glad you saved me.
Also, please drop y'all's win in the chat too. We do this every Monday morning where we say, hey, please let us know what your win from the weekend was while we're talking about ours. We want to read y'all's too. So I guess, Josh, go ahead.
No, I'm not sharing my win now. Go ahead, Josiah.
You're such a baby. Go ahead, Josiah.
I think my win, it's the same win every single weekend, but just spending time with my wife. Got to be the best thing ever.
Big W.
Is she listening today? Is that what's happening?
I get $20 every time she gives me my allowance.
I'm gonna pop some tags.
That's right. That's $20 in my pocket.
Hey, so can I share my win?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yes.
I have 6 kids, and one thing I did for my son's birthday is instead of giving him a gift, I gave him a memory. And so for me, if I could choose between Christmas presents or taking the family somewhere and making memories, I personally would choose to make memories. And so we went to I think it's Walton. Is that in Destin?
I went there 2 years ago. Yes, right close to Destin.
Yeah,
15 minutes away.
We rode jet skis and ended up having dolphins come right up beside us.
Oh, cool. Man.
It was a phenomenal time. So
That's awesome.
My son's 15, and being able to just spend time with him was a blessing for me.
That's awesome. W from the weekend was yesterday was mine and my wife's 7-year anniversary. It's not quite as long as 25 years, which he celebrated last Tuesday.
You're a baby. You're a baby.
But hey, there's been a good amount of life jam-packed into that 7 years, and just reflecting on that yesterday was definitely a very special time. So we had a great, very relaxing, great weekend. Dewey Did It said, I've been in here in a few, so I guess I didn't really realize that. It must be your first time commenting, but thank you for jumping in. He said, I'm about to head out to Absolute for some SH. Let's go,
Let's
man.
go. Tell him we said
Tell
hey.
him Mike said, tell Mike we said hello on the Mastermind Monday. Mike?
So I got a question to kind of just kick us off on the topic of moolah and what you need. Josh, what is like some of the main expenses like when you're first starting? Because I know a lot of people who are watching might be considering starting a pressure washing business. What are some of the main expenses that you're going to have as it relates to starting?
Yeah. So let me do this. Let me share some expenses that we all think about, and then expenses that we should be thinking about that we often don't think about.
Okay.
And so whenever you're starting a pressure washing company, you've got to figure out, what do I have to purchase in order to make this thing a reality? And so equipment is a massive conversation and expense. And what many pressure washing companies do is what I did at the very beginning, and that is go as cheap and as inexpensive as possible. Do you have a story on when you first bought your equipment?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the both of us, we got into pressure washing because it was so cheap. It was low entry. I borrowed $200 from my sister and then drove an hour and a half to go buy a pressure washer off of Craigslist.
Yeah. Do you still have that pressure washer?
No.
I think I attached it to a trailer.
I think we used it like 4 times and then
Yeah.
upgraded.
Yeah. And so your equipment, man, and you're going to get into this question a little bit later, but so I don't want to unpack it. And so, but let me encourage you, if you're listening now and you're talking about equipment and financing, go as big as you can go. And when I say as big as you can go, as big as you need to go to get as much done as possible. And Josiah is going to share a little bit as far as what his recommendation is. But if you want to grow and scale your pressure washing business, the amount you spend on what you get will ultimately determine how much you make and how fast you grow. So definitely want to get into the equipment conversation today. Vehicle. When I started, I used my Honda Odyssey family van, threw some stickers on it.
It's actually sitting outside the shop right now.
I'm
still.
trying to sell it.
Are you really?
Yeah, 2,500.
Anybody out there need a vehicle?
Dude,
I hear
wouldn't buy that.
2,500.
$2,500 for a
Yeah.
Honda Odyssey minivan?
Yeah, 2012.
Well, I mean,
Oh.
yeah, we've had a new transmission thrown in it. It smells like
Well,
sealant.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
hang tight for just a moment. I'm going to share Dewey's big win from the weekend. Going to be a big win. 7 out of 7 will be. July 7th is his 6-year anniversary with his woman. He says he's taking her to Jimmy Kelly's. I like Jimmy Kelly's. I'm going to give you a quick recommendation. Ruth's Chris is better. Just spend a little bit more. It's really like the same. Jimmy Kelly's is good. Don't get me wrong. Ruth's Chris is better. So
Just
small
want to
recommendation.
Hey, we need to share that all opinions shared are not necessarily.
Take it as a grain of salt on a
all
piece of
us.
steak.
And so, hey, send the kids off, buy steak from a steak shop,
Sear it at the house.
sear it at the house, and
Yeah.
then, do you know what tonight is? It's anniversary. And so
Then you
for
don't even
me-
have to travel for the dessert.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
So
with
anyway,
that.
all right. So
Thomas is back. Shots Everlasting. What's up, Thomas? Thank you guys so much for jumping in. And then back to the
Yeah.
question.
So equipment, vehicles, your team or employee wages. We don't like the word employee. I feel like it's more like pharaoh, slaves,
Mhm.
boss, employee. I love the terminology team members. And
Yeah.
so if I were to encourage you, the labor is a massive expense, and it needs to be a massive expense, or you're not going to retain and hold on to great team
Ooh,
members.
that's a good point.
That is a good point.
That's really, I don't know if anybody's ever said that before. Like, it should be one of your biggest things.
For sure.
Yeah, no doubt. That's
Yeah.
super good.
And if you're trying to figure out how to squash down the wages, you're going to end up squashing down your talent and your team and the people that
100%.
represent you on site when they show up. And you want the best individual on the planet showing up and serving your customers. So we pay our guys well and incentivize them well. Also, business insurance, it's a small expense, but it is one that adds up. You should have a little bit of money for damages. You better have insurance or you won't be in business for long, because chances are if you're growing and using soap, you're going to do some damages.
Yeah.
Soap is lava.
For all of the newcomers coming into the chat, what we're talking about right now is finances, talking about what is important to finance before you start your business as it relates to pressure washing. What can you get away without financing maybe? What can you rock with what finances that you have at the current moment? But does investing a little bit more, maybe pulling out a loan, does it maximize your returns a lot quicker to just go ahead and make a big dump, or to just stick with a smaller investment on the front end? Again, thank you everybody to jumping out. If you guys have any questions about things that you're looking at, whether it is financing, since it's the topic of the day, it'd be good to stay on topic. But if you've got any other questions, what we are here to do is answer all of those questions. So please make sure to drop any questions as it relates to the business side of things inside of the chat. We'll be jumping on those.
Yeah, then you've got to get business license. In some city and states, there's going to be different environmental hoops to jump through. So make sure you do your due diligence, finding out what you have to do. I also think it's valuable to invest in yourself inside of your own leadership. You don't think about
that's
this,
good.
but you want to be able to dump, not how to grow a pressure washing business, but how to be a stand-up dude, how to grow your leadership, or how to manage your time or manage finances, like how to be a better husband or a better father or a wife or daughter. Like, you want to invest inside your own mindset. And so I would also put that in there. So I have a budget where you're working through books or podcasts and things like that.
Yeah.
Another thing that we don't think about that I would beg our listeners, if you want to grow and scale your pressure washing business, make sure you invest in your marketing, because unless you are absolute like the mayor or know the mayor, you are going to have to find people that don't know who you are. And that comes through your marketing channels. And so maybe 10 to 15% of whatever you desire to scale to. So if you desire to, do maybe 50,000 a month, you need to invest about $500 to $7,500 a month in marketing.
Get the phones ringing, man.
But when you start your business, you're thinking, where do I get $5,000 from? That wasn't our story. But let me tell you something. If you invest in it, it's going to pull back dividends. And if you let your limiting beliefs control your future, you will always be limited by the beliefs that you have. And so encouraging you guys, figure out ways to find money and then invest inside your business so you can grow a business. But those things are the main things.
I had a thought the other day that was very simple, but it's just such a good thought. And it was, the people that know money, they have it. If you know how money works, you'll get it.
Understanding the science behind it, not being a slave to finding it.
So making sure that you understand how loans work, how interest rates work, how what does ROI mean? What is cap rate? All these terms, having a good understanding is really going to help you make a good educated decision on, even if you're in a position to borrow.
Thomas Reed jumped in. He said, when do you guys recommend making that jump to big upgrades in equipment? I've been trying to fill my schedule for a whole month before throwing the money into making the jump from a 4 gallon per minute to an 8 gallon per minute. ASAP.
Hey, hey, is that Thomas?
Yeah.
Hey, Thomas, thank you for asking that question. That actually brings us into a conversation. We're gonna dive into that question, and we're going to pull out what we hope to be valuable information for you. But Josiah, when it comes to purchasing your equipment, it goes into this conversation. How do you know when and how much to spend on your equipment? How would you answer Thomas's question?
Yeah. So obviously I don't know exactly where you're at and what equipment you have. But I will say making the jump from a 4 to an 8 gallon per minute could be one of the best decisions you could make. And let me explain why. The time on site is a big factor. The time on site is a huge factor. And if you can double the amount that you can clean just by going from a 4 gallon to an 8 gallon, it's going to allow you to even go door to door. So the time that you would spend cleaning house, taking a whole day,
that's good.
You could clean it in 3 hours and then go hit up the neighbors, do door hanging. It's going to free up your time, because that's the most valuable part of the business is your time.
You could be in a situation where, like he's saying, he's trying to jam pack his schedule out for a month before reinvesting back in. There's multiple ways to look at that too. I mean, you could go ahead and dedicate literally religiously a portion that you do take from every job to reinvest. Absolutely religiously. You just don't spend it. And then also, I'm a guy who I don't love debt, but debt works differently in different situations. So if you look at it as truly an investment and not a cost of how much it cost to buy the 8 gallon per minute machine, and you're looking at it more like how much more can I clean, get done faster, and then return all of that, you can probably have the debt paid off within a 2-month period, depending upon.
Yeah, and
if
Thomas,
not less.
Thomas, I could be wrong, but if you have ever worked with somebody that has an 8 gallon machine that's got Downstream Chemical, so the guy who mentored me was in Winston-Salem area, and I worked with him for a day, and then I had this 4 gallon machine. I came back, I did 1 day's work, and I said, there is no way I am going to do it like this. Because if you haven't worked with an 8 gallon with a downstreamer and chemical tank and watt bumper tank, it is a completely different world. And so you can take your month booking and you can get all that. I bet you can get all that work done in 8 business days, 7 to 8 business days. You can do 2 to 3 times as much work. And we're not talking about crappy work. I would say even better work, and you're going to be less frustrated in the midst of it.
And I wonder if the question maybe more so is what he's asking. And I think I just recognized the question was like, how do you make the jump when you're still trying to figure out how to fill out your schedule? Is that the question?
Yeah.
And so I would just make a point to say, okay, when I can clean 3 days a week, I want to be selling and building relationships more than I'm actually cleaning. And so when you're doing more cleaning than selling, that's when I would definitely try to make that jump.
then you just answered his question. He said, that's exactly what I'm talking about. He said, I haven't worked with an 8 gallon per minute, just a 2.5. Holy cow, man. When you switch, you're going to flip a lid.
Yeah.
Like when you switch. He said, I just worry about not having the customers to stay busy. That's also a solvable problem. And with what he's saying is the amount of time you'll spend cleaning a house versus the amount of time we spend cleaning a house. We're knocking doors and you're still cleaning. And so making the investment in the 8 gallon refuels the customer base, and you want to do what you can to keep the sales funnel flowing. If you're always cleaning, no sales funneling in. That could be your main issue.
Yeah, so good. Thomas, I want to thank you for working your butt off, man. I know how hard it
so
is with a
good.
4.5 and a 4,000 PSI. Like, that's hard work, and you're doing it with a 2.5. And so credit to you for being hard working,
absolutely.
getting
Awesome.
after it and doing what you can to grow and provide for your family. But let me share with you real quickly some principles that I would encourage you to think through. The tier of value that we kind of look at is from relationships, time, and money. And so if you start thinking about this, what do you want to have more of? Do you want to have, ultimately, you might say, hey, I want to have more time. I might want to have more money. I want to have more relationships. But if you focus on relationships, you focus on your time, the money ends up coming as a result. And so look at money as the offspring of developing more relationships.
that's
Because
really
when
beautiful.
you're spending 40 hours, 50, I bet you're putting in some long days. When all of your time is on site, it doesn't give you the ability to invest in those relationships, business networking groups, going and doing some maybe real estate meetings where you're meeting other real estate agents. Like, they're going to open the door for you by reinvesting your money inside of your relationships and time. So what we're encouraging you to do is think, I need to invest in relationships. I need to use my time as wisely as possible. And if you're pressure washing all week long with a 2.5, great work for being a hard worker, but you're going to stay there for as long as it keeps you there until you invest in your equipment.
That's super good. We have a saying inside of our sales team, and actually inside of the company. A lot of the sayings that we have, like relationships are the currency of life, is not just something that we apply to customers and clients and people that are actually giving us revenue right back directly from that investment in the relationship. It's amongst our entire team. So one of the things that we say inside of the sales is worry about other people's money. Our technicians work on a commission-based pay. The customer, we want them to actually get the best deal for the value that we're providing so that the guy makes the most money. The salesman's commission just falls somewhere in between. So what Josh is saying is, as long as you focus on generating as many relationships as possible and focusing on your time, so you're worrying about other people's money and relationships, the money will just filter in for you. It won't have to be something that you're chasing after. And then you're now paid for the value that you bring and not for the time you spend.
That's good.
One other thought on that, because that was just a perfect question. I feel like that unlocked a lot of things. But one other thing that you will unlock with upgrading is just the eligibility to do more types of work. So there are jobs that you're not going to be able to do because you don't have the equipment. It's very difficult. You may be passing on 3-story houses. Someone's got to clean those. You might be passing on so many different jobs because you don't have the equipment or you don't feel confident in the equipment, which is ultimately going to affect your sales and who's going to be reaching out to you.
Dewey says going from a 2.5 to a 4 is a good jump, but to a 5.5 from a 2.5 is like being all jacked up on Red Bull. And Thomas went in here and said, well, I did upgrade to a 4 gallon per minute about a month ago, and I realized how big of a switch that was. So I'm sure going to an 8 gallon per minute would be a game-changing event. He said, I was putting in 13-hour days with the 2.5. It wasn't fun. I bet it wasn't, man. I bet it wasn't. But that feeling you felt switching to the 4, multiply it again. Like 10x that. Like multiply it again. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. And then think about who you are when you're on site after a 12-hour work. I bet you're not eating. I bet you get home angry. If you have a wife and kids at the house, they're not getting the best version of you, which why are you working to begin with if not to show up to be the best version of you? Let me encourage you, whatever you got to do to maybe invest inside that equipment, it unlocks so many other beautiful benefits of life. And so not to knock or not to be hard, but I want the best life for you. And that comes with investing in the best equipment so you can start charging more money for less time when you're working. So it's super good.
It does sound like you're making good steps and the
Yeah.
right steps inside of, okay, I'm upgrading equipment, you're making progress and getting that traction. That's really good.
Yeah,
So
slow,
I'm
slow
honestly pretty
growth is
impressed.
good growth, man. That's healthy growth. Like slow growth is good growth too.
Mhm.
All right, I'm just seeing like the negatives of that. And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but let me just share this. I would not be able to hire somebody to work with a 2.5 gallon.
It's true.
Like if I tried to train somebody and bring somebody on and say, hey, I want you to do this, they're going to, you are nuts. I'm not working 12, 14-hour days for $200.
Yeah.
And so let me
This is
encourage
true.
I'm just saying, like, if you want to get team members, that also frees up your
Mhm.
time. They ain't going to, I mean, you might be able to find some dudes, but like,
Investing in equipment is investing in your next who.
Yeah,
You're
that's
going to
true.
make their job way easier. One of the biggest things is when you have nice equipment, it's hard enough to find someone with good character. It's even harder to find someone with good character and is mechanically inclined and loves to just fix things when they break.
It's really hard to find someone. Really hard to find someone with good character to keep the good character after the 2.5 day. He said, luckily, no wife and kids. He's only 25, so only him to see at the end of a
Flex.
13-hour day.
Let's go.
But and that's another thing too, is like, even if you don't bring on your next team member, which like that's a whole nother discussion, but being a solopreneur is not the end of the world. You can make a lot of cheddar doing that.
Yeah.
But man, do you want to make it on a 2.5
Hey,
or a
what's-
4?
hey, what city and state do you live in? I want to know where you're at, if you don't mind.
Think he's in Murfreesboro, Mount Juliet. I could be wrong. And if I am, I'm sorry. I spit that out like I was kind of confident.
All right. So Josiah, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Can you elaborate and unpack a little bit more on why investing in high quality equipment might be so beneficial? So can you talk our viewers into purchasing? What are all the benefits of investing in high quality equipment?
Yeah, we've touched on a lot of it already, but I know that, like what we just said, we got into pressure washing because it was so low cost of entry, but now the industry is changing. It's changing, and there's more money in pressure washing and soft washing now than ever before. And so it is going to be important to invest in good equipment. For one, just the perception. Perception is reality. And so when you show up and you've got good equipment, you've got a skid or a nice trailer, and you've got a wrap, you're presenting yourself as the expert inside those neighborhoods. You're not just someone who's rolling up. I used to put our pressure washer in the back of we had a 2004 Suburban, and I would put it in the back of the Suburban. I'd pull it out, and you're no longer that guy. You're the professional who knows what he's talking about.
So sexy.
It's sexy. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so-
want to be the sexy guy.
Yeah,
in
and the
neighborhood.
question we ask when we're on site is, how do we win this customer for life and build a relationship for life? That's going to get you closer to that.
Mhm. Lower cost of goods. So when you invest in good equipment, you're going to be able to track your chemicals. You're going to be able to adjust the chemicals to where you're not using as much. And chemicals are expensive. We're paying $4 a gallon.
Yeah.
And so if you're using 50 gallons, 100 gallons a week, that's $400. And so being able to save your chemicals can save you thousands of dollars that year alone.
We've got a quick question, Dewey. I'm sorry, I kind of missed that one, man. He said, I use a 2.1 injector on the daily and thinking of getting a 1.8 for winter washing. What are y'all's thoughts? I'm going to definitely defer to Josiah on this.
It all depends on how you're set up. If you're batch mixing, then okay, let me back up a little bit. If you've got your sodium hypochlorite and you're just downstreaming directly from that, I would just add water to that. I would dilute it. The way we do it is we've got 12.5% sodium hypochlorite, and then we cut that in half. It brings it down to 6.25%, and then we downstream out of that. And so I would just add water to your chemical to adjust the ratio of chemical instead of just going out and buying another chemical injector.
There you go, Dewey. That's the secret sauce, dude.
That's the secret sauce. We call sodium hypochlorite the Frank's hot sauce because he put it on everything.
Yeah. Another thing that we want to teach our community is, and you want to teach your team members, once you start using SH, we want everyone to learn that soap is
lava.
Soap is lava, dude.
So soap is lava. It can save a ton of cash if you get that inside your team's head. because how many things get set on fire by lava?
Everything.
Everything.
It was-
Everything.
It's
dude.
like the Russian in Rocky IV. What he hits, he destroys. And that's lava. That is lava for you.
Yeah. And I mean, I think just when in doubt, just being careful. I mean, like work your way up in strength because goodness gracious, we've had some spouts.
Any other benefits in investing in high quality equipment?
Yeah, I think we touched on pretty much all of them. Investing in the hoof, you're setting up your company for the next person that you're going to bring on, or you're just setting yourself up for a good day.
And I'll
But-
say this really quickly. Sometimes there can be a worry, I think, and like maybe we're a little farther removed from it, but starting out of like, holy cow, like investing in like, that's scary. It's on my name. It's like, whatever. I think we're of the belief that your business is either growing or dying. So if you believe in yourself to generate those funds anyways, you might as well go ahead and do it because you're not going to go backwards. You can't let yourself go backwards. So the investment is in yourself and the equipment.
Sure.
Yeah. And so maybe a little bit of math also. If you keep doing what you're doing, what's your maximum amount of income that you can make in inside of what you're doing, and then divide it with the amount of time and energy. And so if you're working 5 days a week and it's 12 hours a day, you're looking at 60-hour work weeks, then divide the amount of money you made with all your overhead and expenses. Then you see how much money you're making per week. It's great to work for yourself. It's a beautiful thing to have freedom of schedule in life and to move in the future of where you want to go. But the sooner you can make those investments inside it, it opens up some doors where now your time and your energy is worth more money because you're making more of it in a shorter amount of time. And so your value can double to triple per hour by just investing in it. And so don't see it as a limiting belief. Also, I remember the first time we ever bought a standoff ladder rack, ladders. And like when you start your company, it's like, I don't want to buy a standoff. Those things are what,
$200 at least.
And I'm like, that's $200. And then the surface cleaners are like, how much are they these days?
Like $900.
You're like, dude, I'm not going to invest that kind of money in it. But what you learn is everything that you buy, it's safety. Like how much damage does a surface cleaner that's $200 actually do once you hook it up to the certain amount of pressure, and then your orifices aren't the right size? You're going to end up stripping some concrete. Your customers are upset.
Or doing damage to your machines.
Or doing damage to the machines
This
and
is true.
overheating. And so safety, also goes down as you invest in higher quality equipment. The accuracy of a what kind of guns are we using? No, the wands. Look, I'm seeing videos of you taking the wand off and just shooting it with a little ball valve.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the accuracy of an 8-gallon gets you a long way.
It's nice.
Pinpoint.
Mm.
The water hose is not going to get you. Man, it is defeating when you hook your stuff up and it goes. Man, you want to be powerful. You want to have the Viagra of all machines. Get the 8 gallon per minute. Don't go down. Go flying in the direction that you want to go.
I feel like what he's saying too is like you have two options there. You're either buying you're buying a conversation to scale, or you're buying your own time back. Whether if you don't care about scaling, and that's okay. Again, like there's nothing inherently wrong with either direction. They're two different business models. But what you could do is maximize your time, charge more because you look more professional, and spend less time doing it. And now you have, 2 days, 3 days worth of work for the same amount of money you'd make in 6. So you have freedom of time back.
One book that's going to really help you make a good decision.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I was thinking Narnia.
I was thinking one ring to rule them all.
Oh, yeah. No, I was thinking 10X is easier than 2X. That book, who's it by? Dan Sullivan?
Dan Sullivan.
Dan Sullivan. It is a good book that will help you understand the jump that you're feeling, the courage that it requires. He helps you understand why that's happening.
Ooh, that's
the
good.
fear of, I'm going to have to sacrifice something to get a maybe in the future. That maybe is more of a confirmed, you probably will get this, but it feels like an unknown. And you're letting go of the 80% that provides comfort to hold on to, and to multiply the 20% that's bringing you what you're looking for.
The 20% is bringing you the 80% of value. So you could spend 20% of the time cleaning to make the lion's share of the money. It's a no-brainer.
So what I hear you saying is a 10X move for someone that is having a 2 to 3, 4 gallon per minute. A 10X move is an 8-gallon per minute.
For sure.
Yeah. So if you think about taking your dollar and timesing it 10 from where you are to where you want to be, we're telling you where we're at. It is a 10x move to go ahead and pull the trigger.
Now, we've identified you got to upgrade. Now, there's a lot of options out there on upgrading. Josh, what are some ways that someone can investigate and try to figure out, okay, if I don't have $15,000 in cash, just buy a brand new skid. What are some creative ways and financing ways that you've seen people do or that we've done?
So the way we've done it, it doesn't mean it has to be the way you do it. But one way to do it is get one of those 12 to 18 month no APR credit cards and put it on a credit card. And so I took out 2 PayPal loans, $3,500 a piece. It was $7,000, and I bought the best I could with $7,000. And I did it during the winter months because I wanted to prepare for the upcoming future. And so it doesn't matter if you have a truck with a skid or a van with a trailer. I would trump everything that I have with the equipment first. And so my equipment is going to dictate how fast I go. And so I would take out a credit card loan and put on a 12 to 18 month. And maybe it starts in March, like your first payment is in March. And so you buy it, you build it, and then the phones are going to start ringing March, April in our area, and you can get jobs all day long.
I'd like to share something that I hope is not an arrogant statement, that it is more of an informative statement. He spent $7,000. He took out a loan of $7,000. We have 1,000 times that over the course of our company's history.
Yeah. So
1,000 times that. That's $7 million.
Yeah. So we've done $7 million
worth of revenue. Worth of work
in the past 6.5 years, almost 7
actually 7 next month.
Boom. Actually, June is when
7 million, $7,000, 7 years.
Yeah, that's cool.
777.
Never would have happened without the equipment. And so you can end up, using a credit card. One thing that I would do if I had to do it all over again, this is a quick question. I've been asked, if you had to do it all over again, how would you go about financing your business? I'd go to the bank. I would go to every single bank that I could find. And then if I have a mom, a dad, let's say I don't have very good credit, I would ask them to come along with me and tell them, I promise you, I'm going to work my butt off and pay you back. And
that's so good.
I'd get into it, and I would do everything I can to go to every single bank until I found one person that believed in letting me borrow $20,000, $30,000 and say, I'm going to pay this back. I'm going to work my butt off. And if you've got a mentor or another brand that comes alongside of you. So for Browns, if someone is in a relationship with Browns and ends up opening up, they can go to the bank and we can show them our financials. Yeah. And because we're a big brand, it gives credibility that they're able to repay the money back. And so think about mentorship or joining a franchise or get a licensing with a company that you want to grow with. Go to every single bank. If 100 say no, go to 101 and don't stop, and use your winter months to be a beast and just find somebody that's going to believe in you enough to give you the money that you need.
And be someone that they want to believe in. I mean, start kill everything in your life that's not good.
That's so good.
Be the guy that people are like, I'm going to give you 10K. I'm going to give you 20K because you're not the guy that's sitting at home playing video games.
Yeah, I mean, clearly we've got guys in here that've got quite a bit of grit. That's not debatable.
Hey, I feel like Josiah was going somewhere that we do need to unpack. This show is in relationship with Pressure Washing Pastor, and so it is important to talk about this. You need to be the person that other people believe in. And if you're staying up late at night, smoking weed, getting drunk, addicted to Netflix, Instagram, video games, you name it, that's not the dude that I want to give money to. But the dude that goes to bed, gets plenty of sleep, and wakes up to say, I'm going to take on the day. A book that I would encourage you to check out is Hero on a Mission. It'll help you identify what you want to do with the rest of your life, because you want to wake up with a mission to take on. Frank, what is his name?
Sinatra?
No, Viktor Frankl.
Okay.
Search for Meaning guy. He says that we often entertain ourselves when we don't have a purpose or a passion or meaning inside of our lives. And so get a meaning for your life and wake up and do something great with it. And so you're not going to be given money by people that got money if you're not living somewhat in a way that looks like you'd be responsible with the time and money that they give you.
A lot of times when people drop like a title of a book or the name of a podcast, it can be breezed over. Please don't breeze over that. There's 2 books that Scott, I would love it if we could drop this in the chat. Starting with Hero on a Mission by Donald Miller. It won't be a link to Audible, but I think we'll go the extra mile to put the title in there. That way you can come back to it. So it's Hero on a Mission by Donald Miller and 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan. Definitely, I mean, for us going the extra mile to put the books in there, don't breeze over that. Educating yourself and paying for the education is going to get you really.
We can
really
say anything that we want here, and we're choosing to say that and tell you these are good books.
Yeah.
All 3 of us, our whole company reads books.
Yeah, feed yourself.
Yeah, like we're doing 7 million in the last 7 years. We need to stop growing, right? Let's stop listening and wasting our time listening to books.
It's not worth it.
The higher you go up, the more you want to learn. It's like we're shoveling in as much information inside of our leadership as we can. And the book You're on a Mission, it's important to start off with this, is it's ask yourself to identify what story you're telling yourself. And the argument is that everyone is either a victim, a villain, a hero, and a guide. When you're around your parents, when you're around your friends, when you're around your siblings, when you're around your team, do you paint the story of being a victim, a villain, a hero, or a guide? And the goal is to transform your life and be a guide as soon as possible. But you can't be a hero unless you first were a victim. You have to be able to get up from your story and move forward and present a message worth living for, or the hero on a mission. So it's just so good to be thinking about why we are in the situation we're in, and where you are is directly a result of where you've been. Let's get further than where we are today by picking up our lives and living a hero on a mission lifestyle.
And there's a quote, jumping back into the fact that, you know, we've scaled up and now we're feeding ourselves just more and more. There's a good quote that a stupid person learns from no one because they think they know it all. A smart person learns from his own mistakes, and a wise person learns from others. Reading books, coming into a mastermind like this, reaching out, finding a mentor, learning about financing, learning about 8 gallon per minute machines. I don't know if I said that right. Is all feeding yourself the knowledge that you won't have to learn. So finding a mentor, joining a team is going to help you go further, faster, with less mistakes. So in closing, I'd love to say, if you guys want to be on the show, you know, at some point, that's another reason why we're here. So Thomas, if there's ever a time you feel like you'd like to do that, Dewey as well, anybody who's watching, there's an email on our YouTube channel. Our freaking awesome producer, Scott, he's such a magic man. He will make all of this happen. He actually dropped the links in there for you. So if you don't click that link and download that book, it's your own fault.
Yeah. Jump in. We can make you the center, and we'll do a deep dive into where you're at, and we can help you scale up.
It sounded like we said, we'll make you the center, like a center.
So what is called is
The
man in the
center.
middle. So basically you come onto our show and you end up sharing with us your biggest problems or struggles. It can have something to do with pressure washing. It can even have something to do non-pressure washing related. And so it could be anything.
Yeah, that's great. So anyways, yes, if you guys have any questions or anything, shoot us an email. You can drop it in the chat as well. And until next time we do these.
Well, let's let people know
got
that
one
if you're interested in learning more about what we're doing, visit pressurewashingpastor.com. It's a place where you can schedule a conversation with me in the next month or two. We're going to have video courses and have mastermind groups and different parts of growing your business that you can join. And we're only doing this for about another 40
some odd weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So when March gets here, we have completed our 1 year free Mastermind Monday. So get it while it's free. And in the future, we're going to turn it into something else for your business. But until next time, we will see you later.
Peace.